Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Fila Sartika Sari from State Polytechnic of Malang. I would like to thanks for the opportunity that has been given to me to present my research with title Prevention of Accounting Fraud in the Village Government. Introduction. The current phenomenon are many corruption cases in Indonesia, especially in the public sector. After the passing of Law No. 6 of 2014, the village received funds of 1 billion rupiah from the central government. The funds are used for village development, and at the end of the period, the village government must make a budget report as performance accountability. According to the Indonesian Corruption Watch, in 2018, there were 158 village officials accused of corruption cases. The defendants included the village head, village treasurer, village secretary, etc. And now let's move on to review of related theories. The theory used in this research are Cone theory and auditing theory. The Cone theory was discovered by Cressy in 1953. Cone stands for indicators that encourage someone to commit fraud, which consists of great opportunity, need, and exposure. The auditing theory is classified into two consisting of normative theory and descriptive theory. There are four basic concepts in auditing theory, which include evidence, fair presentation, independence, and ethical conduct. Now let's move on to research methods. The method used in this research is mixed methods. This research was conducted in 10 villages in Kesamben District, Blitar Regency, East Java, Indonesia. Data collection techniques used are questionnaires, interviews, and observations. Data analysis using triangulation techniques, especially between methods triangulation. The quantitative data analyzed by partially square with the three testing phases: outer model, inner model, and hypothesis testing. And the qualitative data analyzed by exploratory in-depth interview. And now let's move on to result and discussion. This research data has already passed the outer model testing and inner model testing. Then could be conducted the hypothesis testing to define the effect of all factors on the level of accounting fraud, namely individual morality, information asymmetry, the effectiveness of internal control, and conformity of compensation. The effect of individual morality on the tendency of accounting fraud. Based on the results of the hypothesis testing data analysis, it can be stated that the individual morality has a positive effect on the tendency of accounting fraud. This is due to the existence of a very high power distance culture in Indonesia, so the village officials thought that obeying all orders from their boss was a moral act. Next, the effect on information asymmetry on the tendency of accounting fraud. Based on the result of the hypothesis testing data analysis, it can be stated that information asymmetry has no effect on the tendency of accounting fraud. The disclosure of information is good enough because the supervision and inspection by internal auditors has been running and carry out regularly. The audit findings obtained by internal auditors can be used as a tool in an effort to minimize the occurrence of information asymmetry. The next, the effect of effectiveness of internal control on the tendency of accounting fraud. Based on the result of the hypothesis testing data analysis, it can be stated that effectiveness of internal control didn't have effect on the tendency of accounting fraud. This condition can be caused by effective internal control that has been successfully implemented in Kesamben District. And the last, the effect of conformity of compensation on the tendency of accounting fraud. Based on the results of the hypothesis testing data analysis, it can be stated that conformity of compensation didn't have effect on the tendency of accounting fraud. This indicates that this suitability of compensation received by village officials in the village of Kesamen district didn't have effect behavior in committing accounting fraud. And now let's move on to conclusion. Individual morality has a positive effect on the tendency of accounting fraud in the village government. The higher the morality of an individual can create the higher the possibility of committing fraud. This is due to the assumption that somebody is said to be moral when obeying all orders from the boss. Information asymmetry has no effect on the tendency of accounting fraud in the village government because there is no information kept within the scope of the village government in Kesamen district. The effectiveness of internal control has no effect on the tendency of accounting fraud in the village government. This is because the internal controls implemented by the village government in Kesamen district are quite effective. The conformity of compensation has no effect on the tendency of accounting fraud in the village government. This indicates that the form of the conformity of compensation applied didn't have an impact on the tendency of village officials to commit acts of fraud. And the last, the perception of village officials about the tendency of accounting fraud in the village government is quite good. I have presented my research chapter 1 until chapter 5. It's all about my presentation. Thank you so much for your nice attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.